to the show, Brain Health, Unchaining Your Pain. I am super excited to have Samanah Duran on the show, who is amazing entrepreneur and recognised as Forbes 30 under 30 honoree. Welcome to the show, Samanah.
Thank you for having me, Dr. Ruth. It's an honour to be invited on, and I'm really looking forward to discussing optimal brain health and what we can do to make sure that we're, I guess, fueling our brain right and make sure we're capitalising on.
Yeah, me too. And I'm really excited to explore your journey, because you've been on an amazing journey about your brain health. But before we start with any questions, could you just introduce yourself and let the listeners know who you are, what you do and who you serve?
Yeah, totally. So my name is Samanah Duran. I'm the founder of BEYOUROWN, which is an advertising and media company which ultimately just really helps female entrepreneurs take the next step in their business. And we provide lots of tools and resources for women who are already out there, whether it's via podcast or webinars or written content that we've partnered up with agencies for. And I'm personally about championing women, so I'm very much behind the brand, and I'm very much about the personal touch and driving women and championing women as much as possible. So
amazing, and I think it's so and I think it's so important in today's world to give people the support that they need to get to that next level. So for you, given this show is all about brain health, what does optimal brain health mean for you?
Oh, I love this, because I've never been asked this before, so I had to do a little research. But like for me, optimal brain health is probably what equates to success and what equates to happiness, and like understanding the mechanics behind the brain and like understanding how you can fuel the brain right, just to I guess get your everyday functionality of the brain as it is.
Mm-hmm.
I've sat there and Googled it, but I thought
there's no right or wrong answer. It's not a test.
That is ultimately what it means for me, is just understanding how you can get the best out of your brain, really. And
brilliant. And do you think, I'd love to explore your journey that got you to where you are today in the context of brain health, if we can. So could you just take us on your story that got you to be that achieve that amazing accomplishment of being Forbes 30 under 30? Right from your childhood. I'd love to, what inspired you initially, that lit that fire inside of you to want to be the entrepreneur that you are today?
I think like that whole word again, like entrepreneur, is like so loosely thrown around, especially these days when a lot of these entrepreneurs that you do see have no idea what it entails to be an entrepreneur. They don't understand like what it means to sacrifice, like the sleepless nights that you get, like the energy and the blood, sweat and tears that go into actually building a business and putting yourself at the forefront, putting yourself on the front line. I think that's something that's always been built in me as a person. And I always say like the three key components to make up an entrepreneur, if you will, or a business person is, resilience, tenacity and perseverance. And I think that I've had that from very young. I don't like the answer no, and I do like challenge. So when I was young, I started off selling like little bits and bobs on car boot sales, doing like part-time jobs as the waitress. And then I moved away. So my dad worked up and down the country. So I was always in different schools and finding new friends. It was a bit tiresome and a bit lonely, finding ways to fit in. But I actually set up a car cleaning business around the back of my dad's pub in Kent. And so while I was in there having their Sunday pint or playing darts on a Saturday, I was more interested in making money. So I'd be charging them like £9, they'd give me £10, and before I knew it, I had like 12-15 cars over the weekend. So for a 15-year-old, that was pretty good. And then that whole entrepreneurial spirit really was in me already, and was super encouraged by my dad, super encouraged by my grandma and granddad. So I'd gone and done like one job in McDonald's for one summer. I've done various other bits and bobs, bits of modeling, bits of TV presenting, but actually I always knew that it wasn't really where I wanted to be. I wanted to build things. I wanted to see things come to life and stand very much behind the scenes, directing and pulling the strings. I'd gone abroad. I'd done a gig over in the west coast of America, and I was presenting over there. And I was like, okay, but what do I want from life? What like, where can I see myself? And I was like, I like the idea of like building a retail brand. So I came back, I got some inspiration, and I got these t-shirts printed up, and I started like flogging them, and I built this really like crappy, crummy website for what was probably then like a Site 5 or Wix or something. Well, Wix wasn't even around. And this was like pre-Instagram days, and like Twitter had only just come around with 140 characters that you've got to use to express yourself. And I was just making most of like all the free marketing tools like Google, I think it was Google Plus or something like that was about back in that day. And then you got Facebook and stuff. And I started selling these bits and bobs, and they started doing really well. And I ended up getting...
What did you start selling at the time? What was your sort of starter?
Well,
online.
I built this really crummy website. It probably looks very retro now. It'd be the in thing that people use for like a mood board on like a fashion shoot or something. But it was dreadful. It was awful. But I managed to work in a few friends who used to work at like Zara and Mango. And they'd like been signed to like agencies in London coming over from Barcelona. And I got them kind of, I say free, but I was paying them in hamburgers and drinks. And I ended up doing this shoot in Camden. And I mean, to be honest, it worked. It worked for the brand. The brand was like streetwear. And we ended up getting some really cool people on board. And I'd gone back on to do this presenting gig again, but over in Europe. And I got really friendly and chatting with this guy who had all these ideas about marketing. And I was just like, I just need this like small little investment because I really want to open a boutique shop. I don't really know where I want to go with it. And he was talking about like IPOs and like stocks and shares and getting like set like companies listed and merging and acquisitions. And I had no idea. And then so by the end of the gig that I'd done presenting, I remember him saving his number in my phone as like Critics Clothing Investor, and I was like, oh my goodness, is this even real? Like I'd not pitched for it at all, but obviously he saw potential. He saw how passionate I was about creating a lifestyle, a community where people feel they can be themselves and attach themselves and resonate with a brand that stands all for, I guess, what would be like Be Your Own now. Championing that individuality and being yourself and being true to who you are. And he jumped on board, he invested, we got great PR on board. And then I kind of used the database that I already had on TV and modeling various other little bits. And I started like pulling in favors because obviously PR is really super expensive. And I did like this, I say catch-22, but it really was. I was pulling in people from Made in Chelsea, these up-and-coming grime artists, poets, artists, people in creative industry.
And it's all through your networks or your connections. It's just keep reaching out and reaching out and reaching out. It's like a seed, isn't it? It kind of keeps growing.
Yeah, so I even remember getting like Stephen Webster, the jewelry designer, on board, and David Airwood, and like people who are now actually in what's the TV show Game of Thrones, and like so I was just like, please can you wear this? If you wear this, we'll get this in the press. So I ended up selling the pictures to the press, and then at the same time they was wearing the brand to be interviewed and to be put on the blog. So it's all about creating the content, creating things that people want to read, and also that extra brand visibility for free, which is now, which is known as what is it, influencer marketing or something, or brand ambassadors. But I was just getting these people in for favors. And then I actually got really friendly with a guy who had another clothing brand at the time, and he was doing like a launch party with Cara Delevingne, Rita Ora, and I think ASAP Rocky back then. And I think The Weeknd had come over. And I said, oh, is there any chance, I could get this on retail? I kind of ended up gate crashing this party in Bond Street. And luckily, one of my really close friends, she's Albanian, Kosovan, and they speak the same language. So we managed to like get it on retail while she's in the middle of promoting another clothing brand. She walked. The paparazzi had managed to snap her, and it was in Look magazine, it was in Closer magazine, and then it just kind of all really took off, like really super. And that was just the hustle culture back then. I was very much a go-getter, still am a go-getter.
Mm-hmm.
And so if we fast track and move forward, still don't, I mean, I do have critics clothing, but my focus has kind of shifted onto what is now BEYOUROWN, the platform that was off the back, which started out as a community, really supporting women, supporting people doing different things, people having somewhere to go, a safe space for women to talk about who they are and what they do and be proud of what they do. It got really popular. So I sat down with the business development team from Critics Clothing and said, how do we scale? How do we make money? Like, is this something that can be profitable? And so I started reaching out to people on LinkedIn saying, do you want to buy a media package? And in the beginning, people were, oh, why am I going to pay for this? But you need media. It doesn't matter how brilliant your service or your product is. If you don't have marketing, you don't have any coverage on any media, whether it's podcasts, webinars, YouTube, whatever it is now, Instagram. Like, how are people going to even know that you exist? So profiling these women and getting them out on social media and putting them in the newsletter. And we had like 22,000 subscribers. Like, it just kind of just, and we've gone from doing one interview every Monday, every month or something, to then one interview every Monday, every week. And then we was then just doing content and interviews every single day. And now we've partnered with lots of different PR agencies. I think we partnered with just over like 300 during the pandemic alone to work off the back of their female entrepreneur clients, because that's, our primary focus really is female-led organizations and female-backed companies, just really giving the women all the tools, all the resources, the platform to shine and talk about who they are and what they do.
And what I just really want to interject there, what was the massive driver behind the name BEYOUROWN and also Critics Clothing? Because I feel there's some deep connection there for yourself that was really important for you for people to shine. What do you think drove you to that space, that people to show up authentically as themselves?
I think I've always stood by that though. Like I'm a person that, like, I'm very proud of who I am. I'm very proud of things I've done. I'm very proud of the mistakes. It doesn't matter how foolish they are. Like that's ultimately what's made me me. And I think that's what you need to do, is own everything about yourself, and don't be ashamed. Don't be categorized or put in a box and be pigeonholed to what society expects of you or what they think that you should conform to. So again, like if you look at Critics Clothing, it was, who is the critic? Who is the critic of your life? And then BEYOUROWN was, I think I was in like a play on words, and I was sat down with someone. It's like, be your own, like be your own boss, be your own this, be your own that. And I was like, oh my goodness, this would be, and now I'm seeing it everywhere. And I'm like, yes, that's my, that's my trademark. That's my name. Enjoy.
And I think it's really important.
Yeah, sorry.
Go on, say. I missed what you said.
I was just going to say, like, you have to be your own champion. You have to be your own person. Be your own boss. Be your own guru. Whatever it is, you have to be your own everything, because no one else is going to do it for you. No one else is going to represent yourself better than you already do. So, whoever you are, just stay true to it.
Yeah, I think it's really important. I think it's so easy for society, especially from when we think about the context of brain health, is people can easily get labelled as they're either on feeling well or they're not feeling well, and they label themselves, do I have a mental health struggle, or am I okay? But it's accepting who you are in the context of your brain health, accepting everything about you and celebrating your difference, because everybody has a unique brain. No one is the same. We can't possibly have the same brain. It is impossible. And so I think it's important that from a sort of brain health perspective, that we leverage our uniqueness And like you say, be your own boss, be your own person, be your own authentic self, and know that it's you, that you are the master of your own destiny. You're the one that can change the state in your mind and change the state in your life. No one else can do that for you. You have to take ownership of it. And I think that's really important.
Yeah, I think the problem is that I see today is people don't like to accept the responsibility, especially if something goes wrong. People love to blame other people for their pitfalls or whatever it is that's not gone right, but they're happy enough to take the pat on the back when things go.
The credit.
The credit, exactly. And I think that, like I said, like we've all made mistakes, we've all done things that haven't been great, but just own it. And just accept that that's the person that you are, and be proud of the person that you are, and take responsibility, because everybody's given choices in life, and it's up to you. Of course, like there's things that are going to be underlying factors, of course, upbringing or society or whatever it is, but everybody has choices in life. So it depends how you want to move forward.
I really want to explore some of your story, and I'd like to go back to your amazing achievements. Starting off with your car wash behind your dad's pub. What was the big driver for you to start that journey? Was it the desire to make money? What was the big thing that kind of got you wanting to use your time, see what you could accomplish?
Well, I mean, I was quite fortunate as well, because I had like great pocket money allowance, okay, but I had to work for that, okay. I did chores. Yeah. This meant cleaning as well and doing all the other things I didn't enjoy doing, but like my brain was already like, okay, well, if I save like 70% for this, like I know that I can get this later, and then put 30% towards getting like Green Day CDs or Busted and McFly album. And then I had an obsession with like stationery, so I'd be buying gel pens and stuff. Like that was exactly, that's where my money went. But I never really saw the point in just throwing money away, because even when I had like a pot washing job, I think I got paid something like £27 like on a weekend. This is like £2.75 an hour or something, £3 an hour. It's like I really like started to value the concept of money and what it meant to have my own money. So when I went down to my dad's and I was bored and couldn't really, it's not like I couldn't fit in, I just had no time to fit in. Like, everyone had already grown up with other friends in primary school, and I was just like, hey, I'm just happy doing my own thing. And of course, like car washing wasn't like, it didn't scream out at me like, oh, I want to wash a car. But it just made sense, And it's only because I'd actually done my dad's, and then like a friend who worked behind the bar in the pub. And I was like, actually, this sounds like it could be. And he's like, I'll pay you for it. And I'm like, yeah, I like what's going on here. And then the word got round. It's like, if you want your car clean, just leave it around the back of the pub. They'd have the Sunday lunches, or the guys would be in the tap side of the bars, it was back then. And I'd just go away, clean the car for 40 minutes inside and out for £9. And then soon enough, it was all kind of adding up. It wasn't.
And what did you do with that? Did you invest it in the stuff that you wanted to buy, that your pocket money?
What did I do?
Couldn't.
Where did that money go? Where did that money go? That's a good point. I think actually I was using the money at the time to like invest into like portfolios and have like professional headshots done.
Great.
TV presenting and modeling, so I'd use that money really to put towards like photo shoots and like get top quality pictures to represent me very well, and also pay for the transport to get to shoots and the other things that were going on. But it was well invested. I mean, it wasn't just I wasn't like out buying new things at what would be Tammy Girl back then.
Well, I don't think it matters if that was your driver. I don't think it matters. But the fact that you leveraged it to get to that next level, in your life and help you to do that, I think that's brilliant. I know it just reminds me when I was a kid, I used to, I was 13, I started a job at a nursing home, and it paid £2.20 an hour, and it involved cleaning out commodes and all sorts. But I actually used the money that I was earning then on a weekend. I think I got 20 quid on a Saturday, or £20, to save towards a ski holiday. So I could go skiing, and I literally couldn't do anything with it because I had to invest it. So I had the opportunity to learn how to ski, which was an awful lot of money at that time. It was about £600, which is pretty much what you can pay now, but we're talking 20 years ago. So
that's a lot.
so I think it's important that we build that desire within ourselves to look at how can we use the money rather, effectively, and that driver to allow it to to allow you to be your own boss of your life. It's really the seed of it, isn't it?
If I look at what money I've spent in places of like PR and stuff, I've wasted money, but it's all been a learning curve, I think. It's obviously made some very unnecessary purchases, as we all do, especially in like stages of building a business. PR agencies will tell you need this, and other agencies, HR companies will say you need that. And it's like, once you start figuring it out and you actually realize I can do this on a very limited budget, you start saving money. But again, like without spending a bit, like you wouldn't learn, you wouldn't. And I also think as well, like the best things, like the most creative, like innovative concepts are born out of having very little to work with, and I think if you've got 10 grand to spend on a photo shoot, as I didn't back then, I made use of what I had. Like it would be renting out spaces at Muse Mayfair, and luckily I was very good friends with them down there, so I'd be like, I'll bring this celebrity down and I'll get it out and I'll put it in the press and we'll take the pictures and sell it to the press. And so it's just making use and really utilizing the tools and the network that I had for free, essentially.
Yeah. And what inspired you to go into the TV space in the first place? Because obviously you transitioned from obviously finished school, worked your side job of washing cars and stuff, and you said you did a lot of other odd jobs as well to build your experience, which you probably didn't realise at the time, but build that confidence. What inspired you to transition into TV?
I didn't really want to do TV. Everyone's like, oh, you're so good on TV. Like, you make a really good TV presenter. And I was like, really? And they're like, yeah. And I'm like, oh, I don't know. And then it just worked. For some reason, I was just getting really good jobs and really good gigs. But it was just something that I didn't really thoroughly enjoy. I was just like, I don't really like the idea of, like, people watching me all the time and directing me. Like, I want to be that person. And I just, as I moved to London, I got very much more like introverted, and I really enjoyed my own space and like being on my own in a creative bubble. So like TV presenting and being out with like camera crew and being on sets and things, it was really wasn't for me. I didn't enjoy it at all, really, to be honest.
And you went to the States to do it as well, didn't you?
Yeah, I did. And like, I'm very fortunate, like, of the opportunities that I was given. I, worked kind of, I would say, quite hard to get them. And, dream come true for many people. But like, once I got there, I was just not really enjoying this. It's just not
for you. Did that affect you any way, or did it just inspire you, those negative emotions, those feelings that you had? Did it inspire you to make that transition?
Yeah, I think it just propelled, like it accelerated my thoughts and just made me think, okay, I definitely don't want to be, this is not what I want to do long term. It's just not for me. I can't picture myself like this, because I'm not naturally a very like self-critical person. I mean, I sometimes can pick myself apart to pieces, but like I would end up like over scrutinizing and like looking at myself and just I didn't. Yeah, it wasn't for me. And I was like, the faster I can escape that, the better I'll be, because that's the avenue I want to take. So you basically took that database, took that network, and I was like, how can I use it? Okay, well, we've got journalists there, we've got a few PR people there, we've got people in the music industry. Like, let's see what we can play with. And again, I suppose it just worked to my favor. But that's because I asked. I was brave enough to ask, and there's only going to be one answer. If they say no, then they say no. But I was willing to put myself out and say, listen, this is the brand that I've got. Do you want to be part of it? I'll give you an interview for free. Get it sold to like the Sun or whatever. Like, and it's free press for them. So why wouldn't they love it? The women for everybody.
And what was, what would you say your big emotional driver was? Because this ties into brain health. What was your big emotional driver, or the core underlying emotion for you that drove you into creating Critics Clothing?
Oh gosh, ambition, drive.
Ambition.
Yeah,
drive.
like I can't sit still. As you can see, I'm swinging about. Like I just like
I'm on an exercise ball. So.
Are you? Oh, I love it. Yeah, like kill two birds with one stone. But yeah, like I love the idea of moving forward, like looking at the next step, like look at the bigger picture as well. Like I never really see what's just here. I mean, it's obviously course to just see, because sometimes you end up missing things, but I'm always looking far ahead, and I'm thinking, what can work there? How do I envision that working out? And I think ultimately it was the ambition and the drive and like just wanting to get ahead in life. Like if you understand what you're capable of as well, I think people don't understand their own capabilities, and they don't capitalize on their strengths and even their weaknesses as well. People just see them as I can't do this and I can't do that. It's like, how can you turn that weakness into like a positive? Like some of the things, like I would hate public speaking. I still do to this day. Like you couldn't pay me enough to get me on stage, and sometimes I can't shut up. As you can see. But like I suppose it depends on my mood. But like I work things out. I figure things out, and it's down to just having that get up and go, and just picking yourself up and keep on going even when it's difficult.
I think that's really important, is not being afraid to fall, but just being willing to pick yourself back up. And we all make mistakes in life, don't we? I mean, oh gosh, I've made so many, but particularly going on my entrepreneurial journey myself, is like you said, the investments, you can make really bad investments, but actually is to take the lesson out of that investment that you made that didn't quite work out, and learn for it, and leverage that, and leverage the connections that you make, so that you can move forward and make that next step. Well, from the people that have joined your organisation for Be Your Own, which you obviously built up to be the successful brand it is today, what would you say the greatest challenges are for the people that have joined as clients of yours? What are the sort of main struggles people tend to experience to get themselves to move themselves forward?
I mean, because we work with women, I've noticed like a common theme. Women are afraid of the ask. It's like they're so good at what they do, but then they'll like pitch their prices really super low, and you think, oh my goodness, like you're worth so much more than that. Like pitch yourself higher, and then you will get the right client. It's like, oh, but maybe if I'm too expensive, I won't get any clients. It's like, actually, no. If your clients aren't complaining that it's too expensive, like that. No, wait. I know what I'm trying to say. Like, if they're complaining it's too expensive, then you keep putting the prices up, because you're going to end up with the right clientele. And that's the way that I do it, because I'd rather do, not less work, but look after less clients, but we charge them more because we know what we're capable of delivering. We know the quality of the work. We know like what it is that we can offer to them. So why wouldn't women want to pay that little extra more than go somewhere else where they're probably one of thousands of people? We have a real hands-on approach. We love working with the women to drive them forward, to get that brand visibility, to know their value, to know their worth. And it's making them realize that. And that seems to be like a very common thread. It's all right. No, I do it as a favor. No, I don't need. It sounds great. I don't need a favor. Like, what's the price? What are you asking for? And I'm happy to pay. If it's worth it, I'm happy to pay. And so should anybody else.
And what do you think is the big driver? Do you think it's a cultural problem at the moment because of that? Do you think it's?
Do I think it's cultural? I don't know. I think it's. I don't know. Maybe it's just. I think it's down to like lack of confidence. Like lack of confidence in what they're selling or their product or their service. Because Like, if you know your product or your service inside out, and you know, like, the standard that you set, and you know the value, and you know, like, how, like, rewarding it is to see a client that you work with, like, be beaming from ear to ear and raving about it, like, oh my goodness, I just worked with XYZ and they're amazing, like, and you see that, and they talk about it, and they,
yeah,
you know, they're sharing it. It's like,
yeah,
why are you not charging more? Like, why are you, or even pitching yourself too low? It's just,
yeah.
but again, I think it stems to the lack of confidence. Or,
And was there a time in your life where you felt you personally didn't have the confidence to make a shift? Could you relate back to a time when you had to find that confidence to ask those questions? I know you talked a little bit about the conversation with the investor for Critics Clothing. Was there a time where you realised that you really needed to take huge, bold action, and you didn't do it enough?
Yeah, that's an interesting one. I'm just trying to think now.
It's okay.
I mean, there's times I think where I could have been bolder, but I'm already quite bold in the person that I am, because I'm not really like a shrinking violet. Yeah, if I go into a room, I utilise, I capitalise, I look around and see who would be resourceful. But there's definitely times where I've been maybe in a meeting or a room or something, and I've not been as bold as I usually would be. That's like irrespective of the fact that I'm a woman. It's nothing to do with that, because I have no problem pulling up a chair with a group of guys at the table. But it's just maybe that particular day I might have not been feeling that great. Yeah, like I can't remember a specific time, but I'm sure that there's definitely been plenty.
And what would you say to anybody that it is lacking the courage to be bold, to stand up and be counted? What advice would you give to them to do?
Well, I would say, you know, what have you got to lose? What have you got to lose? Just making your mark, like putting your best foot forward, or, you know, stand up and be counted. You know, what have you got to lose? As long as you're yourself and you're your true, authentic self, like, keep making those spontaneous decisions. Keep doing like unorthodox things. Like, I love like an unorthodox approach towards like business, especially, like, because I like going down paths and you know, avenues that no one else has really explored before, because it for me, it's a challenge, and I thrive on
finding that blue ocean.
Yeah, I really do. And I think if you're lacking the confidence, or you haven't got it within you, just think, like, you have one life.
Yeah.
One life. Like, why would you just waste it because you're too afraid of the ask? If it doesn't work in your favor, then move on.
Yeah. And I think that's really important, because, you know, in the context of, you know, thinking about the path you're going to take, you can always ask someone which is the right path to go down. But if you never ask the question, you'll never know. So you could keep floundering down a path that's hugely overgrown and it's never going to get you to the summit or the peak that you want to get to, or get somebody to help you and guide you. Ask the question, ask for the support, and get somebody to show you the way, and you can learn the way with them, and build your network of following that people can follow behind you too, which is exactly what you've been able to create for your business as well.
Yeah, you just mentioned a really valid point there, is that people don't ask. People don't, like, there's so many mentors out there, there's so many great experts out there, there's so many like platforms where people are willing to donate their time, if they've built a great tech company or retail company or whatever it is, and they've sold and they've exited. Some of these people are willing to just say, I've got an hour, or I've got 30 minutes, I'm happy to give a consultation. But people don't ask, people don't research, and they say, I don't know. Well, you know, you should know. You know, go and make it your business to know. And that, I think that's what separates like entrepreneurs, I say entrepreneurs, but people who go out there and they find a solution to every problem, and you know, every success is relevant. And I think that if you're passionate about what it is you're doing, you'll find a way to know. You'll find a way to make something happen. And if you're not, then clearly you're not passionate about it.
That's right. I totally agree. And passion is everything to keep you driving forward. And I think, you know, in today's world, people have lost sight of that passion, haven't they? Because they've been in a workplace environment that perhaps they've just been used to the grind of the work, but there's no passion that sits behind it. And now we are seeing more and more entrepreneurs emerging as people realise, actually, this is just as you had in your journey. This isn't for me. I don't want to do this anymore. I want to do something that lights me up inside, that gives me passion and purpose, and makes me want to be myself and show up as myself and be okay with that, and not have to pretend to be somebody else in order to get paid or to fulfill my role in the firm that I'm working for.
Yeah.
So I think it's really important. So I'd love to ask you a question on your entrepreneurial journey that you've been on. What was the hardest or the darkest time that you had in that journey? What was your biggest low that you experienced?
Oh, my biggest low. Sorry, you know, it's like the thinking stage.
No, it's thinking is cool with pauses. It's important.
I have to go back through the files. I'd probably say even moving to London at such a young age, had it in me that I wanted to go see the bright lights of London. I didn't want to go back until I was hugely successful. My dad and my grandma and granddad would be super proud of me. And I think I always had it in my mind, like that success equals like X amount of money, or driving this car, or having these things. And in actual fact, it doesn't mean anything, because like your parents, your real friends, or like your family and your friends are always going to love you unconditionally. So they're always going to be proud of you. But I had it in my mind as like a mental block. Maybe that's more of a personal thing than a professional dark period. But I was just like, absolutely not. So I didn't go home for about 7 years when I moved to London.
Wow.
I didn't phone, I wouldn't talk. And then some things happened where like I was, pretty broken. My business didn't work out as well as I wanted it to. I wanted to take it an angle, and I went back home, and it really taught me a lot. It really opened my eyes that actually some of the greatest people you can have around you are your real friends and your family, because they're always going to support you. Well, at least they should, and they're always going to comfort you, and they're going to help you see a different perspective. Like, you can't always go it alone. Do you know, that's really struck a chord with me, because when I started my business, I started in London. I finished university, want to start my own business, and I was living in a single flat in London, working, didn't really have a clue what I was doing, and it just didn't really work out, and I ended up having to go home and live with my parents. And actually my dad helped me get a job in the place that he was working, and I ended up becoming his boss. And we would go to work together. And I used to go on the train with him when I was a kid to go to school together. So it was a really kind of poignant time to be back with my dad, but actually be working and him working for me, rather than the other way round. And he loved it. And I think it's important to recognise that a lot of entrepreneurs have to start back at their parents' place to get going, because it's such a difficult journey, being an entrepreneur, to make things work out. And that's okay, as long as it's okay with your family, of course. But the driver is to having that support framework within the home is so important, to help you have that space in your mind to do what's necessary and move yourself forward. So thank you really for sharing that. I think it's important to recognise that we all have to start somewhere, don't we? Yeah, and there's no shame in it. Like, there's so many businesses like that are bedroom brands, and like people tapping away on a computer and like coding things, and these are like super intelligent people that come up with like crazy cool concepts, like in their grandma's garage or something. You should have.
Well, I think Apple was started in a garage, wasn't it? The Apple brand started in the garage, and other brands, as you say, there's just so many can't start from the home, don't they? So,
and have pride in it. Be like, yes, I grew that from there. You know.
So how did you grow it from there? How did you get yourself out of that deep low? What were the sort of key steps that you had to take to pull yourself out of that dark stage in your life?
Oh, I think I was really just like, do I do this? Do I do that? What do I do? And I was really suffering, actually. I was really just completely closed off, pretty much a recluse, had a really bad anxiety for a while. And I was just like, it's just ridiculous. Like, I need to go back home, actually. I need to go back home. And again, like just being around my dad and speaking on the phone to my grandparents and seeing my old friends from back home, that they don't want anything from me, which is always really super nice, because these are people I went to high school with and primary school with. So it's like they probably don't even understand like what I was even doing, because they're just normal people. Sorry, my stomach's not moving because I've drunk so much.
No, that's okay.
But yeah, like they're just normal people, and it's just nice to have conversations that are not like too taxing on the brain, because like then you can clear out the fog, you know.
Yeah.
And you kind of get towards a brighter light. And I think it's just accepting who you are and understanding that you're exactly where you are supposed to be at that time. And people will say, oh, I'm not there yet, I'm not here yet, and I haven't done this yet. And the universe has put you in place at that time for a reason, you know, and everything in due course.
Yeah. I think for me it was excuse me, it was really important for me at the time to be in that place, because it helped me build my confidence back up, that I was capable and able, and like you say, having that headspace, because it's very difficult when you are isolated in London to get away from those negative thoughts or the emotional overwhelm that you can experience. I certainly was experiencing and using, for me personally, when I was in London, I was drinking a lot of wine in the evening, and I started noticing too many bottles building up in the flat, thinking, oh my goodness, this isn't a good sign. I think one time I even fell asleep in the bath, which was ridiculous. And realize so realizing that I needed to make that shift to get that headspace, and like you say, connecting with people that can support you at home with that social infrastructure to allow you to decompress. It is really important, that social network. And it's, you know, now we're fortunate, aren't we, with the online, your community that you have within your business is that social network that you've just described, that you felt was necessary at the time that you started your journey. You've created that community within your business, and I think that's so vital for people to have that support network for them, to help them know that they're not alone, and that people just accept them for who they are. And like you say, they're all they're supposed to be on that journey at that time.
Yeah.
How did you get over your anxiety that you said you had? What was the big shift for you? Was it the environmental change that helped you reset, or was it something else?
That's it. Yeah, actually, I would say that the environmental change, like just going out and being somewhere completely different, around people who truly love me and value me, that plays a massive key role in your mindset and how you wake up even in the morning. You know, if you have a good morning kiss from your partner, or you have a text from your nearest and dearest family member or something, it can just change your day massively. And I think by taking myself out of, like, I would always say, like, London for me is a place where you kind of get in, hustle, make money, then leave. It's not somewhere that I would ever really call home. A northern girl, and my family are back north, and like I just love, like, northern mentality and people as well. Like, the way that people are so, they stand and have a conversation. They remember how you like coffee in the morning when you go to your local coffee shop. And in London, you don't get that. So you pretty much
No, you don't.
isolated. I'd be going out for meetings and coming back, and then I'd be, in a flat on my own. It's just great, 1-bedroom flat in Kensington High Street, but like they're not really doing much. I'm just sat every night designing or bringing my design team over, so it'd be sat there working. It was just a workspace and a place to rest my head, and that was literally it. So at that age, it's like I was so focused on work and so career, like my mind was just on driving my career forward, that I didn't have any time to like socialize. And I think that's probably what made it worse, because I just really started isolating myself and just absorbing myself.
So you had your sole focus on your business and the financial, make success, set success, and there was no success in any other area of your life, socially or from a relationship. Personally.
Kind of, I didn't say I like went for a burnout or anything, but I was, it wasn't great, because I was just completely overwhelmed all the time. I always had to think I do this and I've got that, and never really took a moment to just sit and chill. So like changing my environment and being around people that I truly love and truly love me, just change my mindset. It's just like, hold on a second, you can't keep running in a direction just for the sake of running. Like, let's just think about this.
And I think that's really important, in the context of the entrepreneurial space, is you can get so focused, can't you, on that drive to succeed, that things like your contact with your family, or your health and wellness, your personal health and wellness, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, and physically, can fall over very quickly if we don't create that kind of balanced space for ourselves, to give ourselves permission. I like to say to my clients, give yourself permission to breathe. To make sure that you do have that time out.
Sorry to cut you off.
No, I just say to make sure you've got the time out.
Like you need the solid foundations, because that's what's going to keep you grounded. So like when you've got them cemented and you solidified everything, like that's ultimately like the base, isn't it? That's where you go back to. That's what you call home. That's where you feel safe. So it's knowing what makes you feel safe. So.
And do you, because obviously this is all about brain health, do you feel you get anxious anymore, or do you feel you've managed to temper that based on your changing environment? Or, do you have tools and techniques as an entrepreneur and successful businesswoman to manage those anxiety levels? What's your go-to to manage them?
I try to do a lot of activities, as I say, a lot of activities. I try to, I like to go out. I love to see nature. I love walking, hiking and mountaineering. And if I can get out and I love being out in the fresh air, and like even just taking time to just visualize. Some people obviously meditate, people do yoga. I'm a fan of yoga. Haven't had much time recently to get that done, but I just like the idea of just taking a few minutes and like visualizing, okay, where do I see that going? When things get a bit chaotic or too stressful, I think, okay, what's the pros and cons? Like, let's think about this in a logical, pragmatical way. Before rushing in. And then 5 minutes, 10 minutes might turn into half an hour. I might take a lie down on the sofa and just close my eyes and just think about it. But and just allow myself that time to just think of nothing, but maybe that, or maybe just nothingness in general. And it's okay to do that. It's okay to just do nothing. Do
you know? I love using the sofa. I do.
It's like that.
It's so and it's so quick and simple, just to lie down and zone yourself out. And people think this is, may think we're talking woo-woo, but it's not. It's, it's really good to zone yourself. And I find it grounding, like it kind of seeps the negative energy out of me and allows me to reset myself. And I'm also absolutely with you on nature, as getting outside and go for a walk around the block or something if you need to, just to take your mind away from the stresses that you're experiencing and to get that clarity that you need by shifting to a different environment. Especially nature is really good for the mind and for your soul. So yeah.
And also
so what
music as well. Sorry, I just have to get that.
Oh
in.
yeah. Music.
I just love to listen to music from the time that I wake up in the morning. I'm always sticking something on, and it changes throughout the rest of the day, but it's dependent on my mood. But I just love sound. Like, I love listening. I love even podcasts, like listening to people talk about things that's so interesting or not particularly common knowledge to everybody else. They're like thought-provoking, and I like that. That takes my mind off whatever, if I'm feeling overwhelmed, or if I don't need to overly think about something. That's what I love to do.
I often put on a bit of Ed Sheeran if I need a bit of a motivational boost, or George Ezra to get me going. It's like I have a sort of positivity playlist, which is really good. And if necessary, I'll just go and be a bit of a loon and jump around for a few minutes and sing my heart out to some good pop songs. And it will reset me and lift my spirits and refocus me. So yeah, I'm complete. And music has been proven, scientifically, to really help lots of different regions of the brain, depending on what types of music you listen to. So I can completely relate to that. What's next for you in your business?
Yeah, that's a good question. I mean, we're just constantly scaling. We're constantly growing. We're looking at making new hires and taking new people on, and just evolving what we already have, and like working on what we've got, and whatever's like not working as well, like just not like dedicating too much time to it and effort. Just really focusing on bringing out the best. There's no point keep taking on projects and new things all the time. Like, if something's working really well, like, you have to find a way to make it work really super well. And so that's exactly what I'm working on right now. It's just taking ourselves to the next step further.
Do you have a
that's entrepreneurship? It does. It's not always on the up.
No, it can go all over, depending on how the climate is and how everything's going marketing wise as well, can't it? So what one piece of advice would you give to somebody who's wants to start their entrepreneurial journey, but they're really nervous, anxious about doing it, and they struggle with the confidence to know that they are enough, and to they're not familiar with being themselves and being their own person? What piece of advice would you give somebody?
I would say, first of all, like, just stop putting yourself in that bracket and calling yourself an entrepreneur for a start, because then it's just like, it relieves all the pressure and the stress, doesn't it, and all the negative connotations that are attached.
Yeah, that's true. Don't label yourself.
No, don't. Just be the person that you are. Like, go about and research, look into what it is that you're really passionate about, understand the market, understand if there's a potential for it to scale, to grow, and no one really, I mean, I didn't set out to think, oh, I would do this, or I would sell the brand, or I would do this. Like, you kind of just go with it. And I think if you do have that unorthodox approach, just see how you go with it. I think that things will work out a lot better for you. Don't over strategize, don't overthink, just be passionate, remain confident in who you are and what either product you're selling or service that you're providing to someone. Like, be confident in it, and know your stuff. Go to seminars, go to workshops, go to presentations. There's so many online that you can get for free, and just like hone in on your knowledge, get really familiar, because the more that you know, the more confident you're going to be. When someone asks a question about the industry market, or about this or particular competitors, if you know your stuff, you're going to be more confident, and that's going to ultimately shine through. I feel like I'm like just rabbiting on a bit now, but it's
I think it's really important, because building confidence takes time, doesn't it? And it's not just a one hit thing. You have to work at it, and that's the same with business is you can't expect to suddenly flick the switch and suddenly you're Mr. or Mrs. confident. You have to build that up. I know for me personally, I was terrified of going on the TV screen and doing what we're doing now, but I forced myself to do it by practicing every day and to be confident listening to myself and showing up on camera. And it's the same with everything, isn't it? Is that we really need to work at it at all different levels to build it up. It doesn't just happen overnight. And get the support, as you say. There's so much support out there available to people. Is not, as you started with the conversation, is not be afraid to ask for help.
And I think that as well, the more you challenge yourself, the more it is good for the brain. Nobody wants to stay comfortable. What's the point in that? Living, that's just existing. So pushing yourself out, I think, can do wonders for you as a person to help you grow both personally and professionally.
No, I agree. Don't want to just be existing, and it is to get into that growth zone and really push yourself to get to that next level. Samanah, it's been amazing chatting to you and hearing your phenomenal story from where you started in, as cleaning cars to where you are today. How can people get hold of you?
Well, I make it so they can't, but okay. You can find me on social media, Samanah Duran, which is all down here, and Be Your Own UK. It's on Facebook, it's on Twitter. You can tweet me if it's interesting. If it's interesting, you can tweet me. I suppose you can also reach out to my PR team. Got Emma at BEYOUROWN at BEYOUROWN.org. There's lots of things. You could just go online and suppose Google me, Google the brand. I'm sure if you're that,
it's everywhere. Just type Be Your Own.
Yeah, if you want it to happen, this is what I'm talking about earlier. If you want it to happen, you'll find a way, and you will get in touch with me if that's what you want to do.
Exactly. Connect.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for joining me on my show, Brain Health, Unchaining Your Pain. It's been an absolute pleasure having you on here, and I'm just looking forward to seeing how you'll continue to grow your business and achieve those goals you set for yourself. So thank you.
Thank you so much for inviting me. It's been a pleasure. Great way to wake up. So thank you.
I really hope you enjoyed that conversation. Thank you so much for listening. Please be sure to like and share this episode and leave a review on my website or on Apple Podcasts. If you're looking for opportunities to optimize your brain health or unchain your pain from a past trauma, make sure you visit my website, www.ruthmaryallen.com, and use the code podcast10 at checkout to get 10% off all programs. And always remember, you are not stuck with the brain you have. You have the power to make it better. You have the power to unchain your pain and optimize your brain power and performance so that you can win back energy and time doing what you love. Each episode of Brain Health Unchaining Your Pain with Dr. Ruth Allan is for educational and demonstration purposes only. The information shared in each episode should not be interpreted as medical advice. This episode should not be used to self-diagnose or self-treat any health, medical or physical condition. Do not use this episode to avoid going to your healthcare professional or to replace the advice they give you. Consult with a trusted healthcare professional before doing anything contained in this episode. If you have any questions or concerns, please contact www.ruthmaryallen.com/connect.